Hi viewers, and welcome to a bit more action testing the new TSPC racer wheel from Thrustmaster. Back on some racing experience at the moment and going around the Zandvoort circuit. I've just done a practice session and now on to qualifying. Force feedback actually is feeling pretty amazing at speed. I'm really getting into this. I've been enjoying it so much, the racing, and you'll see in this race I'm really going to be going for it in this race and really just enjoying the racing. The feeling at speed is where it really shines here. There's a really nice sort of wobble to the wheel when you're at speed that gives you that feeling of going fast in a really convincing way. Thanks to those of you that came back to me on the questions in the last video. So the bleeping issue, obviously that's the gear, the restrictor there, so I recognise that now, and I've just altered my sort of approach to some of these corners. Sometimes I think it's just staying in a higher gear, sometimes it's braking a little bit more just to scrub the speed off before you get on the power when shifting down. So for the most part I think I've dealt with that. I've not encountered it at all running on this Zandvoort circuit. Rather interestingly, the website for Zandvoort is www.zandvoort, I think it's .com or something like that. Quite bizarre. Talk to VVV, it says, which is interesting. So coming up then to my qualifying lap, trying to carry as much speed around there as possible and just going a little bit too much, but that's fine, I'll get away with it. We'll still be hitting the limiter by the time we hit the start-finish line, so down that long straight. No, we weren't quite hitting the limiter, but it doesn't matter. We were going pretty quick anyway. So it's just a matter of diving into that corner. The sound effects are brilliant in this game. I mean, sound throughout is fantastic. The sound of the other cars, the replay sound effect, but it's spot effects. It's the tyres sort of scraping along the surface as you're putting the power down. It's when you bump wheels with another car, you hear an appropriate effect and stuff like that. Some really nice effects in there. There is the bumping issue where you're bumping up and down. It feels okay with this car, can get away with it, it's not too bad. I had a quick go on the competition. There's a competition to win one of these wheels actually on Race Room, so if you have Race Room, get on there, you can win one of these wheels. You stand a good chance of winning. I mean, there's about 200 people that have entered so far, which is not a lot in the scheme of things, given the fact that I think you could probably get into that top 100 no problem for a lot of people. It's just hard getting into that top 10. I wasn't able to do it. I literally felt terrible with sort of a motion sickness because the car was bouncing up and down and the scenery was bouncing up and down, and it was, for me, totally unrealistic. If you're strapped into the car, you shouldn't be bouncing up and down like that. You're a part of the car. So and when it comes to your view, there's bumps, but yeah, you shouldn't be seeing that much vibration unless you had a flat spot on your tyre. So I found it really threw me off my driving at this stage. It's something I'll come back to later. If anyone knows how to turn off the bumping, it was an issue I raised on Race Room probably about 3 years ago. I was racing a car and touring car and everything was bouncing around, and I just thought I can't even drive this. It's just all over the place. But this car, no problem. Really nice feeling to it, and the force feedback obviously with the wheel is fantastic. It's nice being able to run it on a much higher level of force feedback with my T500. It feels strong, it feels immediate. It's had several sustained hours of use, long sessions, and now of course qualified in pole. That was nice, unexpected. I found that the AI has been pretty tough, but they get off the line quicker than me usually, so I was a bit careful through turn one. I just didn't want to get taken out basically, and I thought, well, if I just cover the inside then pick up the pieces afterwards. That was a mistake. I think if I'd kept the lead I'd have been okay, but however, let battle ensue now as I try and take back the lead. This is a really fun, focused drive. I was really just thinking about the next corner, the next gear, everything you need to focus on. I was trying not to think about anything else in the world, but just focus on the driving. As many sim racers will know, if you've been iRacing or you've done extended sessions, that moment you think about that thing you need from the shops or something, that's the moment that you are likely to make a mistake and crash. And you think, damn, I should have been focusing what I was doing. Conversely, sometimes I can be on the phone and play some of the best gaming of my life. It's quite bizarre how your mind works. So yes, I guess that's the difference between your mind talking with itself and talking to somebody else, in which case you're able to do that in different ways. So I'm just trying to focus now. I'm thinking, well, let's just put in some consistent laps, stay as close to this guy as possible, and then gradually build speed as I go through this race to try and catch him. Zandvoort. Let's talk about Zandvoort for a moment. It's a great circuit. I can't remember the first game I played it in, whether it was Race Pro, something like that. I can't remember now. Always enjoyed the circuit from the first time I played it. I think it's a great circuit. It was designed in the early 70s, and it was meant to be the safest Formula One track ever designed at that time. You know, it shows where Formula One is, given the sort of high speed and the barriers and the undulation. It's a shame we don't have Formula One circuits like this now. They're all so flat and so bland. You know, you don't get banked corners and off-camber corners like some of these anymore. It's also sterile in comparison, and that's the thing I find that's just not the same as it was in the course designs of years ago. Some really nice touches to some of these corners. I go a bit wide there. I had a tricky corner, that last one, because I have a line, but if you come into it just a little bit quicker, it can send you just a little bit wide. And I struggle with the gearing as well. You know, it's a real sort of second gear gives you traction, third gear, you know, it just doesn't get the turn in, but your speed is such that you could reasonably stay in third gear. So that's another area as well where there's speed to be found. I wasn't braking hard enough. I think as the race goes on, I start to brake harder and harder into the corners, and that really reduces my time off the throttle. So I was probably braking a little bit too smoothly into the corners, trying not to lock my wheels. In actual fact, I could have been braking a bit harder. It's a marginal line though. You know, get the braking wrong when you're braking late, and there's no room for error. You're just going to fly straight off the corner. So we don't want that. We want a video that's pretty clean. If the race was more exciting, I probably wouldn't talk all the way through it, but I might leave you to a bit of racing later once it all sorts itself out. So, yeah, a great circuit, you know, and a history to it. It just wasn't used very often for Formula One, I believe. I can't remember all the years it was used, but early 70s. It's a shame. There was a major accident here as well, which didn't help things. But either way, it's a challenging circuit. Racing experience then, that bumping thing. So if anybody knows an answer to the bumping and how to turn that off, please do let me know, because it is something which, you know, head movement or whatever control there are, I'd love to turn that off. And I'll look into the wheel rotation issue as well for the hairpin at Macau, because I really would like to do an extended race at Macau as well. I did have a quick run in the KTM Crossbow, but I didn't get on with that car at all. Just not for me. I just found it frustrating to drive. I just jumped straight back into this because I thought, wow, I just love the speed and the grip and the feeling of the Formula car. Though I have to say the touring cars I think are also excellent on this as well. It's really come along. It's nice as well, you know, when you go to the finish line, see your car going round, driving into the pits and parking. Just little details, nice details. Trying to get quick as I can to close on this guy. I'm determined not to let him go. Get too tight into the apex there, slightly wrong line. It's all just little things really. You know, you get a wrong line like that and you're just on the back foot for a couple of corners, trying to get that speed back. So I am going to be testing it on different games at some point. I noticed in one of the comments there was a mention of F1 2016. the force feedback doesn't work. I've put it onto Project Cars, and Project Cars isn't set up to support it yet. I'm sure it will be. So I'm going to be finding out which games actually support the wheel at the moment. Obviously, by the time it's released to the general public, I'm sure there'll be patches and wheel support out going everywhere. But it's something I still need to look into. So the videos in the short term and my impressions will be based on this experience of racing experience, but it's not a bad place to start. Going to a tricky couple of final corners. Deceiving that corner, you feel you can carry more speed into it, but you really can't get on the power until the corner opens up for you, otherwise you will just go wide. Determined after 4 laps to catch this guy. More speed. That wasn't my best turn one either. Trying to get on the power as early as I can there. But the AI, they're not hanging around, are they? I mean, he's going for it, that guy. He is going for it. So it's more like iRacing speed is going at, normal AI on a lot of these games, you can generally, if you go flat out, you'll eventually work your way past, or you feel it's more doable. I was just really in the zone, really enjoying myself with all this. That's the only tricky corner, that one, in terms of gear. I've been doing second gear to get out of it, just to get traction. That last corner was third. Yeah, just getting into the corner initially. If you don't get in, the tyres slide a little bit, you'll always sort of be hanging on the outside. And that corner there can throw you. If you shift down into second too early, it locks the rear wheels a bit, and you can spin out quite easily. So there's lots of little challenges to keeping consistent. I think that's the main thing. Another little lap done. There's a sort of wash of relief when you get through a lap and you're pushing quite hard. I was relieved to get through a lap, and then suddenly you're thinking, oh, another lap done, and now we're coming up to turn 1 again. And where's my braking point again? So you've got to and what's happened there is I've thought about something that's not the driving. It's taken me out the cockpit for a moment, and now I think, oh, jump back in, because you need to keep that focus all the time when you're racing. So first impressions of the wheel, excellent so far. Feels really nice as well. This rim feels really good. I know it's highlighted a while ago about buttons and the visual look of the wheel, and that's something, again, I'll talk more about in the final sort of preview when we're sort of analysing the wheel more closely. The material used actually feels really nice on the grips. It feels really authentic, and the wheel in your hand, obviously you're not necessarily looking at the wheel when you're driving, you're just feeling the wheel, and it feels really good. So it's a nice rim, and it really feels nice conveying the power through the rim. I need to find out about, in terms of the firmware support and everything, in terms of testing all of the other rims. I'm going to be testing, the Ferrari Alcantara and the leather rim as well on it, on various different games, and of course checking out support, and I'll make some more videos on that as well. I'm just loving this Formula 4 at the moment. Trying to brake a bit later, and I could see braking later there was really helping me. I'm going a little bit faster around turn 1 now, just a little bit, and it's making a difference, throwing the car in there. So what I'm doing now is I've changed my driving slightly there. I've seen that the car is understeering, so I'm sort of oversteering slightly in the corner, putting my foot down and using the power to push me out wide around the corner, sort of sweeping through the corner, if you like. It's the same here as well. You steer towards the inside, and then you get on the power to push it round the corner. So that's It's working well here. And here I'm just aiming for the curb, down 2 gears again, sweeping into the corner, and then hoping the car just doesn't go wide as soon as you get on the power. That's the technique. Trying to close on him. So again, harder on the brakes there now as well. So it's 2 areas on the track. I've started to brake a bit harder to reduce my braking distances ever so slightly to close on this guy, and it's working. So, you know, in terms of time, you know, when it comes to these racing games, when you see the guy who's really quick on the leaderboards, he knows certain things. He'll know where to brake a bit harder, and he'll know what gear you're supposed to be in and what corner. And that's really important, obviously. And so for me, I've got a couple of corners here where I'm sort of in between second and third. And I'm thinking, you know, second gives me good turning, second gives me good traction, but then third might help me because you don't need that extra shift up. And though these gearboxes are pretty seamless, it all depends on sort of the speed you're carrying through the corner. Here I'm down to second on the exit of the corner just to give me good traction. I feel it works for me. Loving it, loving the racing, loving the racing. You know, it's videos like this why I made, you know, why I love racing games and I love motorsport and racing games. You know, and I just really in the zone. Like, it reminds me, actually, I remember having one of the best races of my life was actually on, what was it? Toka Race Driver on the Xbox One. And I remember I turned up Road America. I was racing this guy. And this guy gave me a tip that on certain corners you should use the handbrake to help turn the car into the corner, or press the handbrake and the accelerator or somewhere. I can't remember what the technique was now. And I was racing him on this long race around Road America, and it was literally like this. You know, he was ahead of me, I was racing, he had this new technique. I told him what it was, thanks to him. I really appreciated that. And we had a cracking race. And all he did was go online on these like 2 circuits he loved and just smack people about all day, just off for miles. But I just remember having this long race. It just went on and on. And it was like, wow, perfect driving for laps and laps and laps. It was a really good race. You know, you have some of those sometimes with friends if you do an extended race, or you have pit stops, mandatory pit stops, you know, tyres wearing, different strategies to other people that only shape up in the last sort of few laps of a race. As I'm coming up now, so I'm quicker than him now, I've got it, I know I can get past him. I'm thinking, right, how am I going to find a way past? So now I've made a mistake straight away. I get out of my flow here, and I'm thinking, I'm trying to think too much about, I've got two issues really. One is I'm much quicker than him in some areas under braking, but he's much quicker than me in other areas, sort of with high speed, and I definitely don't have as much speed. There's just certain traction zones that he seems to get better traction in sort of third gear area than I get. And the car just going wide, just wanted it to grip so badly, and then lost all that time there just by being untidy. You know, that was my fault. I was being untidy into that corner. I was trying to find more speed in an area where there just wasn't. That wasn't really what I should have been doing. I should have just stayed calm and focused. Just kept doing what I was doing in the last 3 laps rather than, and again there, second bite, late on the power. Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible. It's a horrible feeling. I can feel him pulling away again. So I'm thinking, right, come on, let's brake late into this corner. Let's see if I can. Just no more speed. Come on, brake late. As I can. Power straight away. You know, as soon as I'm off the brakes, my foot moves straight onto the power. Getting speed, sweeping the car through. Again, there just wasn't a time there. I was literally, as I was braking, I was shifting down and straight on the power again, one pedal to the other. There's no coasting, but you know, he's got such good traction out of that corner. Is there any way here? I know this corner can be tricky, so I'm using all the road. I can't do any more than that there. But loving this racing, loving this competition. Just a shame as a video for you guys watching. You know, I know that for some of you might find it a bit dull, but for me this was pretty enjoyable, even though I wasn't winning. It's not about the winning for me, it's about just having that battle. You know, it's alright going into online lobbies and winning by miles against newbies and stuff like that, but it's nice to have a bit of competition as well. But just unable to get past. My chance really lost, you know, a couple of scrappy corners. Again there, I was trying to get more speed to just get a run on him because it was the final bend, and I thought, well, let's carry more speed, see if I can get an early run. But that's it. So that's it for this race, viewers. I hope you've enjoyed a bit of Zandvoort action, and of course seeing more of the TSPC wheel, and there'll be more content from me very soon.